Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param. Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Beda Vibhagine Kyo Mabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satiguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome. So verse 2, we stopped yesterday. At the very bottom of page 216, verse 2, Apasa yoga is indeed enjoyable to all beings, beneficial to all, cannot be disputed. It does not present any contradiction, and it is revealed by the scriptures of Ishvara. Therefore, we bow down to this yoga of no association, no connection, no contact, which is the Vedantic or Upanishadic yoga. I am Satya. Everything that appears and is perceived, experienced, and witnessed by me is mithya. It's just a projection within the scope of I consciousness. So this is the Apasa yoga, Satya Mithya Viveka. The word Aspasa means there is no contact, no association, no relationship between Satya and Mithya. Atma is the only reality. Anatma is Mithya, is just a superimposition, projection upon myself. Satya and Mithya, they never really meet, although from the standpoint of Mithya, it seems that the Mithya Namarupas are just contact or being superimposed on Satya, the screen or the ground of existence of all Namarupas, let's say like that, Adhisthana. So it seems that everything is in contact with Satya, the consciousness, the existence, but it's not in contact because there is not really anything there. There are just imaginable Namarupas, just like imagine a snake upon the rope. Well, our inability to see the snake as the rope projects the snake on the rope. But the snake was never really there. It is just a projection done by the power of Maya with complicity of jivas ignorance. Why? Because jivas ignorance makes it impossible for the Jiva-Atma to see things for what they are. Just all is Brahman and Brahman alone. All is the rope and the rope alone. So this ignorance somehow reinforces this apparent universe, which seems to be to have been originated or created at a certain point in time. So we will see in this last chapter of the Mandukya that this universe was not ever originated. If we think in temporal linear time, it was never a point A from which the universe was created or originated, from which the Jiva-Atma was created or originated. So all the Vedanta theories of evolution or projection, they are somehow rejected by Gaudapada, because even the cyclical way to explain the creation, which is from the macrocosm causal body, now exists already in Maya, the seed of the universe, and then out of that it is projected, and then from that project it keeps changing. All of that is within the realm of a mere appearance, such as a mirage. Okay, so even the notion that existence, the universe is originates cyclically from the causal to the subtle, from the subtle to the manifest Vyavaharika. Even that is rejected by Vedanta at the very, very end. So we don't really see it until we get in contact with these teachings of the Mandukya, because most of the Upanishads, they just mention here and there that this universe, this cosmos, this world we experience is just an appearance. It is a mithya. It's appearance like this, like that, like the dream world, and so on. But it never goes to the very bottom root of this, of the meaning of this mithya, that which is as good as non-existent. Because to make that statement, you just scare the hell about almost every seeker of moksha, you know. If you say, this is not really existent. But as we know, the snake was never really existed except from the standpoint of the mind of the Jiva-Atma, which was confused and unable to see things for what they are. So our inability to see things for what they are projects reality or even origination or creation with certain theories. There are many theories about how this whole thing came into place. But the Upanishads, they just keep saying it's just mithya, it's something that there is, but there is not. It's not sat, not a sat, it's not real existent, but it's not non-existent. And we leave it there so that we can have at least a small sangha of Vedantins. Well, Gadapada is going to scare some people now, and those people who are not mature enough to understand the final teachings of Vedanta, which is the teaching of no creation, no origination. Nothing was ever really projected or superimposed or created, except as a mirage. So therefore, this is the yoga of no contact. Nothing was contacting. So the mirage was never contacting the sand, the desert sand. There was no water. The water did not wet the desert sand. It is experienced. We need to know how to transact in this apparent order, but we need to know that it is not really real. And what I am is the only reality. Why we have to address the nature of mithya as good as non-existent? Because Maya has somehow deluded us to believe that there is reality to this apparent world, and the objects of this world, they have certain values, you know, and they seem to be designed to complete me, to satisfy, to make me happy. So we need to really go to the very bottom of these teachings, analysis. Otherwise, we keep somehow yet somewhat invested in the mithya objects as something that it may contain some reality to itself. Yes, it has utilitarian value, that's good enough. Utilitarian value is good, because it's going to give me security and I will be happy here and there. So the purpose of this radical analysis is to establish what is really real, which cannot be touched or contaminated, which is my nature in such as consciousness. Consciousness is the only reality. Consciousness is full, whole, and complete because it's non-dual, conscious existence. So I want to establish what's my true nature. And once I know that I am consciousness, I need to know that I am the only reality. Otherwise, I know I am consciousness, but this world, it still enjoys a certain degree of reality. Somehow, I still attract to this world, and somehow I will still be leaning and depending and detached, and then I'm not going to really enjoy self-knowledge as it is meant to free us. You know, I am the only reality. The world is not real. It's just a projection, apparent projection of seeing myself. and I'm free and independent and cannot be contaminated by anything that's apparently project upon myself. This self is Satyam, and it never associates with any of these apparent projections. So I'm going to be using more and more apparent, so to make a more and more clear point here. Apasa yoga means asanga, atmayana, is the knowledge of the self, which is absolutely one without a separate. Therefore, asanga, not associate with anything. You need to have 2, 3, 4 in order to have connections and associations, contact. So apasa yoga means that it's a self-knowledge, knowledge in regards to my nature, which has nothing to associate with, nothing to associate. From the standpoint of the objects of nature, they associate with consciousness, with Atma. Because without the Atma, that kind of apparent reality does not have any existence, because the existence of the unreal is borrowed only from the real. The real is existence. It can borrow existence for the apparently existent, but the apparent existence depends on the real existent consciousness. Yoga here means yana, knowledge, even though this atmayana appears difficult initially. It's good, it's the best thing, and it's worth striving for because it is the knowledge that liberates the Jivatma. It's allow you to enjoy whatsoever life you have left, with respect of nationality, religion, creed, and so on. So it's a knowledge which revealed for all kinds of Jivatmas. Another glory of this knowledge is that is never subject to debate. It's in Advaita, there is no room for any debate. Why? Advaita means that everything is Brahman. There is only Brahman. There is only consciousness, and I am consciousness. That's the only reality. Anything else is the anathema. It's just an apparent projection upon myself. So when you establish that as the absolute reality, there is no room for quarrel or dispute. But the Advaitas, they always discuss about what? About nature, how nature was originated, how nature was created, how nature, where it borrowed existence from, it came from existence, came from non-existent, They are always talking those terms, And then every one of these schools, they have a certain good logic there, but it's within nature. It's within the part of the presupposition that there is a creation, and they want to discuss how this creation took place. So all deep philosophy is inquiring into the nature and origination of this creation. Every good philosopher wants to know how this universe came into play, what is the God particle, from where it has originated, how long ago, But they are looking in media, they are looking in phenomena. So they are going to have very much all over the place disputes and quarrels about my theory against your theory. But when you cut to the root or to the chase and say, hey, guys, take it easy and relax, there is no creation here. You don't need to be excited about presenting a theory to explain this thing, which is, it's not understandable at all, And but we have the scriptures that point to that which is the only absolute reality. And once you understand and you realize that, and then you see how futile is all these quarrels and disputes about the phenomenal world, because it's not really there. It's like being disputing about the nature of that snake. Is it dangerous? What kind of poison? What kind of antidotes I need? and what it is. So how are you going to cut the head of this snake, how to approach it before it kills us. So you're discussing about things that are not really there. That's the simple bottom line here. Vedanta does not contradict them. Vedanta even enjoys those different schools and philosophies, you know. Every system is somehow empirically correct from the transactional plane, like different medical systems, for example. No? In the empirical plane, the truth is relative. It's all relative. It's all conditional. All those analyses and theories. It will depend where you stand. Vedanta is not interested in joining the debate because all of them are right from their standpoint, but all are wrong also from the other standpoints. Vedanta is not interested in debate about the relative truths which these people are discussing, because relative truths will never give liberation. So, taking a parallel here, people in the spiritual world is all concerned about apparent orders of reality in which there is, better lokas or more punya or better planets, and there is this and there is that. None of that gives liberation to anybody. There are so many schools. I have a friend here. She likes to use the word spiritual, and she is somewhat famous, and people bound to her, believing that she's very spiritual. But she's so lost in these meteor concepts that she calls spiritual this, spiritual that, and she is a kind of a guru to other people. It's blind people talking about this, this phenomenal spiritual or subtle assessments or experience. It is never give liberation to people. The only thing that gives liberation is the absolute reality we need to access. And we don't find the absolute reality in the phenomenal world, in the meteor world of duality of experiencer and object of experience. So the dream world, for example, is relative truth in the dream state, but that dream knowledge cannot give liberation. And then we say, okay, and then let's go to the awakened state. So in the awakened state, I can get a certain knowledge that gives me liberation. Yes and no. You can look for any kind of relative knowledge within Nietzsche, meaning to say scientific knowledge. None of that will give liberation. You have to get the knowledge in respect to the absolute reality, which is you, consciousness. So we see in the awakened state, we have an intellect that after it is somehow worn out by trying to find stability, security, and peace and liberation by gaining knowledge in respect to phenomena, the person is going to maybe be conduct to the scriptures, and then they will understand that within this meteor world, there is a substratum or a distanum, which is the only reality. And the scriptures say that it's my very consciousness, okay? So in the dream world, we cannot get liberation. In the awakening world of phenomenal objects of knowledge, we don't get liberation. We need to do what? We need to get out of the three states and stand in our true nature, which is Turiya, which is Paramatma, which is the force factor, which is not a state. It's my true nature. It is the substratum of the three states, the three jivas, and the three universe, the awake, the dream, and deep sleep. The substratum is the force factor, which is not a state, but accommodates all kinds of states, but none of those states will give liberation. That's the point here. You understand, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely.
Therefore, analysis of relative truths will not be useful for any spiritual seeker. For living purpose, scientific knowledge, objective knowledge in the relative realms of life may be useful. But when a spiritual seeker is interested in the ultimate purpose, fundamental truths, absolute truths, all these relative knowledge, they become useless. They are seen as useless. This is called maturity. Gaudapada says that Vedanta is dealing with these absolute truths and others are dealing with relative truths. Advaita is undisputable because it does not contradict with one another, with the other systems, because it does not contradict any system. This wonderful, absolute, indisputable Advaita has been given to us by Brahman via Ishwara Narayana. So it is revealed knowledge that comes all the way from the Chit aspect of Brahman, Chit aspect of consciousness. Gaudapada offers prostration to the knowledge of the absolute reality. In Advaita, there are no different standpoints, and only Advaita has different standpoints. Therefore, it took me years, but I stopped, try to point out how limited people's notions and ideas are, trying to present them the Advaita vision of the Upanishads. It's useless. Much less is to try to point out the flaws about their spiritual program. Nothing helped. Only one's own maturity will open one's mind to start seeing the value of Advaita Vedanta. Disputing mutually, some disputants postulate the birth of existence, other thinkers postulate the birth of the non-existent. This is a very nice discussion and it's beautiful. It appears in the Gita, another verse on those lines, in the term the existence can never be non-existent, and the non-exist out of a non-existent cannot come existence. So other thinkers postulate the birth coming from the non-existent. Okay, so from here on, Gaudapada starts the Ajativada teaching, showing origination can never be explained by any philosopher because there is no origination. Origination of this world, origination of the jiva, origination of Jagata can never be explained by any system, philosophical system, including modern cosmology, because nothing was ever originated, nothing was ever created. What is the birth date of the rope snake and how is it born are not relevant because there is no rope snake. Again, it's very easy for us to remember the dream state and see, yes, in the dream state, I can tell that. So things appear to be there, but now standing as the awaker, I see that there was no world. I mean, this dream world was not really there was a projection. But this awakening world, this physical material universe, it's a little bit more challenging for us to see it as just a superimposition by name, colors, and forms. That's why we go through so many texts and Vedanta teachings to establish that vision in our minds, that the only reality is I consciousness, and this physical universe is reflecting in my conscious existence the same way the dream universe reflects in my conscious existence in that state, conditioned by that state. Therefore, no theory of origination will stand scrutiny or inquiry. This is the top in the following several verses. As long as you think there is origination, creation, there will be different theories. Each theory will keep refuting. Gaudapada will show how the different theories of origination will never give liberation. So now we don't need to learn all these different theories, since you know that they are all based on Mithya. They are all standing Mithya. They have different perspective, but all from Mithya. Then therefore, every time there will be a different assessment, and every school is going to have a different assessment as well. So all these theories are not going to solve the problem of Jivatma. They will remain just like another exercise in futility, discussing, debating. No? So among those theories, so I was saying, so there is no need for us to go through all these different philosophies, because once you understand that they are all standing Mithya, and then you are not going to fall for the temptation to understand all of them. Why I'm saying that? Because some Vedantins, somehow they have a more academic mentality, and they also they do not have much of Shraddha in the Vedantic scriptures, in the Upanishad, and they want to be convinced by studying all other theories of creation, and that's okay. And then one has to go there and waste a lot of time going into different philosophies and standing Mithya here, Mithya there, interdimensions in these. And I mean, people get so lost, but they get so lost. And again, I remember my friend there in California, they are so lost out there, these things. Nothing can save them in this lifetime, I would say. You understand? So we don't need to go there. We just understand the fundamentals here, presented by Gaudapada, and that will do the job. He's going to present just a couple or a few of these philosophies, but the point is just what I have just presented, There is not really creation, but as it appears to be so, people analyze it as if it is real, and therefore it must have had a beginning, a middle, and an end. So Gaudapada presents two well-known theories, and one is called Sat Kariyavada, and the other is Sat Kariyavada. The theory of the creation of existence, and the other is the theory of no creation of existence, something like that. These two theories are at odds with each other. Take any example of creation, for example, Swamiji presents. Out of clay, a pot is created. Okay, so far so good. Pot has originated from clay. It seems to be the case, yes. This is our experience. Did the pot exist or not before its creation? Did the pot exist or not before its creation? No. One theory says that a non-existent pot was originated. It was not existing before, but it was created out of non-existent, because the pot was not existing in the clay, and the clay was exist only clay, and then a non-existing pot was created out of the clay, which was the only existing principle. The other theory, which is closer to the Vedantic presentation of the cyclical projection of the universe, the other theory says that the non-existent pot can never originate, but only an existent pot can exist. Now, that's the theory that the whole universe exists in the macrocosmic body. Everything is already there, but it is suppressed, it is latent, it is, in seed potential, everything that's the theory as well of the cyclical projection of the universe that Gaudapada is going to refuse. The first theory asks if the existence of the pot originates in the clay, why should it originate at all? Because it's already existent. So if you say that the world, the universe, originates from the macrocosm seed of the universe, therefore the universe was already existent there, why should it originate if it was already existing there? So the existence of this universe was already existent before, huh? And then why it should be created if it is already enjoying existence? You understand? The universe is already existing in Brahman, so why it should be created if it's already existing? You know, why it has to be created? So there was no creation because it was already existent. So the idea that it was already existent, but then it was created is a contradiction because it gained existence as if before it was non-existent. So you cannot originate something from non-existent because once you create something, this thing is existent. So from non-existent, you cannot create it. And from existent, there is no need to create because it's already existing there. No? The first theory asks if the existent pot originates. Why should it originate at all if it's already existing there in the clay? Therefore, non-existent pot alone originates. Okay, it was non-existent, now it exists. So in the clay, the pot is non-existent, therefore the pot originates from the clay. So the non-exist pot originates from the clay. In the clay, the pot was not existent, but it originates from the clay. The first theory says, in the clay, the pot is non-existent, and the non-existent pot originates from the clay. So in the clay, there is no pot. Yeah? And then there is a non-existent pot because there is only clay. And then this non-existent pot originates from the clay. And then Swami presents a very interesting example here. Suppose there is a cup with water. These are only these yanis, can come with inquiries and objections or questions like that. Suppose there is a cup with water, clay pot with water. The pot is non-existent in the water, so there's no question that the pot was originated or created from the water. You say that in the clay also the pot is non-existent. He's referring to the theory of Asat. Asat Kariya Vada. Yeah? So it says that the pot is not, you say that the clay also, the pot is non-existent. So why? Let me go back here because I lost the line of thought here. In the clay, the pot is non-existent, and the non-existent pot originates from the clay that we have established already in that theory. So there is a cup of clay and there is water. The pot is non-existent in the water. Say, okay, this pot did not come from the water. You say that in the clay also, the pot is not originated. Now, the pot is non-existent. We have established the pot is non-existent, but it somehow originates from the clay. Why you say that the pot was originated from the clay and you say that it was not originate from the water? You understand? The pot is there in contact with clay, which is its essential nature, but we said that the pot was non-existent in the clay. And now there is water, what's added to the equation. And now where is the pot coming from? It did not come from the clay. And I say that it did not come from the water, but somehow I accept that it was not exist in the clay, but was originated by the clay. So pot is non-existent in the water. So you say that clay also, the pot is non-exist. Then why does the non-exist pot originate from the clay and not from the water? Again, The pot was non-existent and became existent, okay? The pot was non-existent, became existent. And now we have these three elements, water, clay, and pot. And we say that the pot, which was non-existent before, came from the clay and not from the water. Why? You were saying they came from the clay and not from the water. Similarly, the non-existent oil does not originate from the sand. Oil comes only from the oil seeds in which the oil is already existent. Therefore, the existent oil can originate only from the seed. It cannot come from the sand, from the soil, I would say. Therefore, he says that from a seed, if a tree comes, the tree is already existed in the seed. This group says that only existent products alone originate. So this is the theory which is very similar to the Vedantic theory of cyclical origination projection of the universe. It exists already in the seed, okay? So this group says that it was already existent in the seed of the universe. Some others says that only non-existent thing can be originate, because otherwise, how can it be originate? No? How can you create something out of non-existence? Now it exists, but it came from non-existence. The other says that only non-existent products can be created or originated. Thus, these two quarrel without end. Some philosophers, such as Karika, Vadis, Shankya system, claim the origination of already existent thing. It is an effect already present, already existing, the cause. Others call Asat Vads, which claim that an existent thing needs not originate, but only a non-existent thing originates. So either way, either we say that the universe was created from existence because it was already there, but it was invisible, or it was created by non-existent existence. And then the debate here, how can you create something from non-existence? From non-existence, existence cannot be a product, because it should be from the same nature, the same order, existence itself. You cannot have existence from non-existence. And if something exists already there is no point of saying that now it was originated into existence, because it was already existing before. So existence cannot come from non-existence. And existence itself cannot be created, because it's already there as the only thing existing. These so-called scholars argue and dispute each other. One negates the origination of the non-existent thing, and the other negates the origination of the existent thing. Both are negating the origination. So they are disputing if the things, they agree that there is no creation somehow, but they agree that there is an apparent creation, and they want to know if it's coming from existence or it's coming from non-existence. That's the bottom line. And both are supporting Vedanta's statement that there is no creation, there is no origin. They are making advertisement for the Upanishad teachings, but they are caught up with the point of how this universe, which they know that is a projection, how this was originated, okay, from existence, from non-existence. This is Gaudapada's approach. Neither the existence nor the non-existence thing originates at all. Forget about disputing if it comes from existence or non-existence. Nothing was ever created. Nothing was actually originated. Okay? It's much more simple. There is a lot of games, words, they exist, non exist, blah, 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 but it's very simple. I try to simplify the logic there. Verse 3. No, this is Swamiji doing some introduction, recapitulation. We saw the Ajatavada's teachings of Gaudapada or Upanishad says that the existence of the world is not really the existence or is not must be negation. Creation must be negated. The appearance, yeah, appearance must be accepted, and that is due to ignorance, our inability to see things the way they are. Just as the appearance and the experience of dream world, because of certain powers, we accept that, but we know that that is just a projection. This one we accept, and we even the teens, we know that it is a projection, and in which all objects value neutral. They do not have intrinsic reality to themselves. Even though the existence of the world is negated, we accept that the world appears to exist by borrowing existence from Turiya. Okay, we accept that it exists as an appearance and available for transaction and available for assessment of utilitarian value within the projection. Okay? And what is the ultimate value of everything we experience within this meteor projection? Is the ultimate value is to allow us to develop the wisdom or the qualifications to understand that I am the only value. I am consciousness, existence, whole, full, and complete. These objects are somehow enjoying some apparent values from me. So everything comes from me. I am consciousness, Turiya. The moon appears to be bright because I lend light to the sun from the sun. I, the observer, lend existence to the dream world as well as the awakening world, I, conscious, the subject, conscious principle. Thus, with borrowed existence, the world appears but does not originate at all. It's just when have the snake originate? You know, when it was created. We cannot determine when was the creation of the rope snake. The negation of the origination of the world is called Ajativada. There is no creation, there is no beginning. There is no beginning of time in which or from which this cosmos was created. It's just like a mirage. In this portion of this Mandukya Karika, Gaudapada points out that all the theories of origination, once analyzed, will be seen to have fallacies. Different systems, Eastern or Western, old, ancient or modern, Vedic or no Vedic, all systems explain the creation of the world using various theories. These theories, when scrutinized, will be full of fallacies. It's like trying to know scientifically to know the phenomenal world of objects, you know, and we keep develop some knowledge, but they all the time having be revised and corrected and improved. And the more we know, the more we see our ignorance and our mistakes and fallacies. So any objective knowledge, regardless of being scientific theories or science, or philosophical science or constructs, they all have fallacies. Here, Gaudapada introduced the Sankhya and Nyaya Vaisheshika systems. The debate between these two systems has always been there. Is an existent world created, or is a non-existent world which was created? These people, how they can spend their whole life discussing if the world we experience was existent before creation, or it was non-existent before the creation. One says that the non-existent world cannot be created because it is already non-existent. You cannot have existence out of non-existence. Nothing non-existent can be created because matter can never be created nor destroyed. Furthermore, the other says that the existent world cannot be created because it is already existing. So what is the purpose of originate something that's already existing? And there is no need to create something which is already existing. These systems together negate the creation of the non-existence world and the existent world. So one of the significance of this analysis is due to a conclusion that many people take in the spiritual world, that the ultimate realities is non-existence, and therefore this universe must come from non-existence. You understand? And this is a mistake, because the jiva in their mental states, they may experience a certain self-induced sleep state called nirvikalpa samadhi, in which there is nothingness, there is emptiness, there is no duality, experiencer and the experienced. And then one enters that state, one comes out, and then they are misled to believe that the universe is coming from the void, from the nothingness to emptiness. You understand? But every day we go into deep sleep, the whole world is swallowed by that state, and we don't come to those conclusions that deep sleep is the ultimate reality. You understand? Or the absence of I and the other. So I believe this is the main relevance of all these debates, is this theory that the ultimate reality is nothingness, emptiness, the void, and the world came from nothing, and therefore it has to go back to nothing. Okay. So nothingness is a symbol of non-existence. Nothing exists. And then the ultimate reality is said to be a sat, because sat is the existence, which somehow concedes existence to everything that is projected upon itself. When we say that the reality is nothingness, we say the reality is asat. And that is a problem, because the Upanishad says that the nature of reality is sat, chit, ananda, existence, consciousness of non-dual nature. If we take the reality to be asat, and then we start believing that existence becomes a byproduct of Maya and Mithya, because before there was no existence. And then I'm caught up in Mithya, trying to find the God particle in Mithya, trying to find reality in the Mithya, whatsoever subtle realms of inquiry or experience. Why? Because I have attributed non-existence to anything before the origination of the universe, because everything comes from nothingness. Nothingness means to say nothing exists there. The ultimate reality is a Sat. And then Sat comes only with the projection of this cosmos, this universe. Thus, creation and origination of the world are negated by these two theories. The creation and origination of the world are negated by both of these theories. Now, one theory was going to say that no, but nothing was there before. Nothingness is the only reality, the most fundamental reality. The other will say, no, it was already there. And that was there also latently, potentially, as the seed of the universe, like the macrocausal body, which is very similar to the theory, the cyclical theory, cyclical projection of the universe, which is sustained by Vedanta until we get ready for these final teachings of the Upanishad. Why most people never get to the final teaching? Because it's too abstract, too subtle. And most people do not feel attracted. And most exposers, the same, most teachers, they don't like to go there as well. Why? Because you're not going to find many students interested in these teachings. You understand? So we keep those theories of projection and evolution of the universe and the laws governing this universe, and we go to the extent to say, but it's an apparent reality, but we never go there to the bottom of the situation of the of this argument to explain more in details the analogy of the snake and the rope to prove that a universe such as the snake rope do not exist. And then when people go there and they look at things, sometimes people get crazy and they go around all over Europe, say, I don't exist, you do not exist, non-existence is the only reality, and so on, because they did not get the proper teaching, complete teaching of Satya and Mithya. You will see that at the very end of the chapter 4, Gaudapada is going to be very, very clear about be very careful. This world does not exist, but don't neglect it. Respect this apparent reality, because as I often say, it's within this non-existent apparent reality that reality is gained or asserted or understood, which is the substratum of the anathema mithya world. Verse 4, the existent and the not the existent cannot be born because it was existing already. The non-existent is not at all born. Why? Because how can you bring existence out of non-existence? The existence is not born because it's already there. The non-existent is not at all born because you cannot get existence out of non-existence. Disputing thus those dualities reveal birthlessness. Indeed, they do great advertisement for Advaita Vedanta. Those dualists reveal the bottom line there. No, the common denominator is that there is no origination of the universe. Okay, they discuss whether it's coming from existence or non-existence, but they are in agreement that it is an apparent reality. They fight with one another and they can never come to a conclusion whether it's coming from existence or non-existence, and that further reinforce the theory that there is no creation, there is no origination, therefore you cannot come to a conclusion whether it's coming from existence or non-existence. So was the snake, the rope snake exists in the rope, or was this snake, the rope snake non-existent in the rope? No? So no, it's not existing in the rope. It's not non-existing in the rope. It's just lack of assertion in the mind of the observer who cannot see the rope as a rope. Ignorance, Maya, vidya. No? Snake was never born from an existing or non-existing principle. The snake was never born, period. You understand? Period. Each theory is negating the other. One says that existence is not born. Shankya, which is closer to Vedanta, says that a non-existent thing cannot be created. Therefore, it must be already exist in the potential form. Both these are dualistic and pluralistic visions, and their teaching is that Atma is many, but also all pervading. So they are pluralistic. They attribute the self, reality, as many, but as the substratum as well, all pervading. But they are many. These dualists, pluralists debating in this manner negate each other, thereby indirectly giving credence to the theory of non-origination of Jativada as presented by Gaudapada. Are you guys enjoying?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's fun for the mind, fun for the intellect.
It definitely requires sharpening the mind to follow these logics. In verse 5, he says, we approve the no origination, the birthlessness revealed by them. They say that is, nothing is created, but it appears to be created from existence or non-existence. We approve the birthlessness revealed by these two schools. We do not argue with them. Know this Advaita Vedanta to be disputeless because we don't go there. We don't go there. This is something, as I was saying at the beginning today, it took me years until I decided, no, I don't go there. That because you present Advaita to people who are dealing with Advaita, they are just going to be upset with you. They are going to believe that you are crazy, you are, a philosopher, it's all mental, it's all theoric, that you are deluded. So we do not dispute with Advaita schools or Advaita darshanas, visions. Gaudapada says that he appreciates the promotion, the marketing that these two schools are doing for us. Ajativada, there is no argument with any of these visions or darshanas. Each of these darshanas has its own special theory of creation, origination, that debate and negate one another. Vedanta is beyond all debates within Mithya. We stand in Satya, and we see all these debates as Mithya debates. You can never find the absolute reality in the relative realm of notions, ideas, feelings, and objects. Then subject. The word Vivadan, beyond the debates, occurs in the verse number 2, the verse number 3, 4, and 5. The verse 3, 4, and 5 are further commentaries in regards to this Avivadam, beyond debates. And that takes us to the verse number 6. One thing nice about this, there are 100 verses in this chapter 4, but they are short verse, and they are, a lot of the time they are how you say explicit, self-explaining. What was I saying? Forgot. Huh?
Explanatory.
They are self-explanatory. Therefore, Swamiji does not elaborate much. The disputants postulate the birth of the unborn reality itself. Just mention reality was born. You find reality in this cosmos. The discipline postulate the birth of the unborn reality. How can the unborn immortal reality indeed be subject to mortality? Why? Because if there is origination, there is birth, and as we know, if something is born, something must die. So the eternal can never be born, can never be created, can never be originated. They dispute about the birth of reality. How can the unborn immortal reality, which is existence itself, be subject to birth, old age, and death? That's the one point here. The verse 7, the immortal does not become mortal. In the same way, the mortal does not become immortal. This is a very famous, this appears in the Gita as well. The immortal does not become mortal the same way the mortal does not become immortal. Transformation of the intrinsic nature will never take place anywhere, anyhow. This is a more simple verse that we all relate because the body-mind complex under the spell of Maya, of ignorance, suffers with the concept of mortality. So here it says, the mortal does not become immortal. The body-mind is not going to become immortal. Get over with it. Accept it. And what is immortal? It will never become mortal, therefore relax, because all you need to do is to understand and claim your immortal, eternal nature as consciousness, the unborn. The immortal does not become mortal in the same way the mortal does not become immortal. There is no way intrinsic nature of something can change, transform. Transformation of intrinsic nature of something never happens. What is immortal is what is Sat, what is Chit, what is the Atma, which is the self, which is conscious existence, that is eternal, immortal. That will never become immortal because there is no intrinsic nature of something is that which never changes. Our intrinsic nature is not the body-mind complex, it's not much less the physical body. That is not our intrinsic true nature. If we go to the mind and the intellect, and then we could say, so that is a little bit more closer to my intrinsic nature, because at least the mind does not die, really. It's not subject to the deaths, such as each body dies, But yet, what is the intrinsic nature of the mind itself? What is the intrinsic nature? Because the mind, although it does not die, but feels limited and incomplete every time it leaves the physical body. It does not die, but it does not understand its full nature as consciousness. Therefore, it dies in agony and dies unconsciously. And then it comes back wherever it has, left off. So only consciousness is absolutely mortal. Only consciousness is whole, full, and complete, limitless, non-dual. And that is the intrinsic nature of the jiva-atma, of the body-mind-sense complex. And we need to know that with certainty, just so that we can enjoy our immortal, eternal nature while still associated with the mortal body. Because once we lose the mortal body, we cannot enjoy our immortal nature, because our mortal nature needs an instrument of experience to enjoy its immortal nature. Okay? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. We meet again this coming Friday with Lord Krishna, going over the Gita. Thank you again.
Thank you, Arlindo.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Very nice satsang, Arlindo. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Silvio.